Good morning, everyone. I appreciate everyone jumping on. We have a few that are ready, and we'll probably give everyone else just a couple minutes. I don't want to keep everyone waiting, so I will be quick, and we will get started here in we'll give it about 30 seconds to a minute. As always, we will be recording this session and distributing it to our entire agent channel. So if you have to jump off or can only attend for a while or ended up not being able to attend, we will absolutely get this out and also posted to our YouTube channel. To start, we do have all lines muted. So if you have a question or you're unable to hear me, please let me know. Sometimes if you dial in, you need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. We have learned that over time. So feel free to use chat to let me know, but any other questions pertaining to anything that we cover today, it is probably best to just reach out to me directly after the webinar, and we can address any one-on-one questions anyone has regarding anything that we covered today. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's just a couple minutes after 10. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. There may be some that join us a little bit late, and that is perfectly fine. There may be some that we planned on coming and they were unable to make it, which is also okay. This will be recorded and distributed to our entire channel, so no worries there. We do have all lines muted at this time, just so that I can kind of blow through the material at a 30,000 foot level. And then if you have any questions, you want to dig deeper into a certain vertical, any specific topics you want to speak about, my contact information is displayed here at the screen, and I'll make sure that we go over my contact information again at the end. So just as an intro, most of you are familiar with basic high risk versus basic low risk. Low risk, much shorter underwriting time, less requirements, less documentation. We're all familiar with that. Many of you have entered the world of high risk. As you know, depending on how many deals you have worked through, it can be a very, very different world. They are looking for a different set of requirements, different documentation. These things will vary based on the deal, the vertical, how long they've been in business, the financial stability. There are so many variables when it comes to high risk. And so what we have done is put together call it a 10,000 foot level set of documentation and guidelines that we go by to try to make it as easy as possible. We have been fortunate enough to partner with some great banks and some great underwriting groups that are truly great to work with in the high risk space. So just to give you a sampling of some of the banks we're working with today, that includes Merrick, Avidia, First Fresno, Esquire, BMO Harris, Evolve, Axiom, Central Bank of St. Louis, Central Bank of California, CB Cal. That's not even all of them. That is just a good handful. They're all great. They all are great at what they do. But the best thing about having a longer list of banks is one bank might have an appetite for one vertical and they have zero appetite for another. So what we wanted to do was get as many banks involved as possible so that we can put it in front of them and let them tell us what businesses they're hungry for. So we've been fortunate enough to work with enough high-risk deals in different verticals that we've become pretty familiar with which bank to go to first, depending on the deal. And that's a combination of who's going to underwrite the quickest, who's going to provide the best support and direction as far as what documentation they want to see, and communicate openly with us during the underwriting process, which allows us to communicate quickly and efficiently with you and get the deal done as quickly as possible, which is everyone's goal. So many of you may have not taken a dive into high risk at all. I know I talk to a lot of agents who say high risk is just not my thing. I don't want to put the time into it. It's a pain. And I get that. I do. I will say that majority of the banks that we work with, they truly help to make it a bit less painful. In addition to the fact that everyone that is in this business is in it to make money. And high risk is a space where there is an opportunity for fantastic margins. Of course, no one is looking to gouge their friend, so on and so forth. However, a high risk merchant is usually very aware that they are a high risk merchant, and there's going to be a bit of a higher cost for their processing than the average corner coffee shop down the street. So just to get started, this is our basic submission documentation, and I am happy to share this with anyone who would like a copy. Happy to make it available. We will not go over it word for word by any means. To keep it short, I am always the point of contact when we are working in the high risk vertical. Everyone knows my name, hopefully, Brooke Henry. My email and phone are listed here. And just some frequently asked questions. So what are the required documents when working in high risk? So we're all used to maybe a driver's license, a voided check, a bank statement, previous processing. And that's even in the low risk world. When we get into the high risk world, it's really not that much more. It may be 3 to 6 months of processing. It may be photos of inventory. It really does vary by deal, but all of our groups of underwriting are really great about letting us know up front, here's everything we want to see. So the cleaner of a process we can make that, the better. If I'm able to hand over a completed application, all supporting documents as one clean package, we will fly through underwriting so quickly in comparison to piecemealing it together. Some of the businesses that we have started boarding or have been boarding, some are a mix, definitely CBD. We will take a bit of a deeper dive into CBD, Nutra, travel. Everyone's been a little, with COVID, travel has been difficult. We have got some great banks accepting travel. Firearms, card present, card not present. We can work with that. Furniture, MLM, telemedicine. And this, again, is just to name a few. For example, earlier this week, I boarded a merchant that provided tarot card readings and astrology. So a few years back, that would have been something that really no bank wanted to consider. In addition, they were a startup, and that can be even more difficult to place. And we were able to get them boarded in 3 days. So just wanted to use that as an example to say we can get these done almost all of the time. So what are most banks and underwriting teams going to be looking for? Is it a startup? If it is a startup, don't let that deter you from shooting me an email and saying, hey, can we work with these guys? Startups are not impossible to place by any means. I've boarded several startups over the last few months and done it with very little issue. With a startup, they're not going to have previous processing. They're not going to have months of bank statements to provide, and that is fine. So that leads us to point number 2. What underwriting is going to look to on those accounts is the signer. Is the signer's credit in good standing? Are they able to back this business being a startup? Worst case scenario, they process $20,000 in their first month and everyone issues a chargeback because something went wrong with the fulfillment vendor. Just for an example, if it were to go completely bad and every one of those transactions were to be disputed, is that signer going to be able to take on that financial risk? That's what they're looking for. Money in the bank. Processing volume. There are no thresholds here. So if you have someone come to you that is starting a business, they have no idea how it's going to go. They're starting a business. It might take off and do 100 grand a month in the first 3 months, and it might do 2,000 in the first 3 months. We have no limits up or down on threshold. We will work with any account. So please do not hesitate to send those over, and we'll get into some more details on what's needed based on startup, time in business, financial stability. On the financial stability, most banks are going to request that the merchant have 15% or more of what they're requesting for monthly volume in the bank at all times. And that's to cover unexpected chargebacks, whatever it may be. They're looking for financial stability, whether that's a startup business or existing business. They just need to know that the company is financially stable. And if they can't base that based on it being a startup, then they're going to look to the signer. Is the signer's credit strong enough to back this new business or this new venture? So does anyone want to waste any time? Absolutely not. None of us have it to waste. So if you have something come across referred to you, maybe it's something in a vertical that you have not worked with before, do not hesitate to shoot it to me. It is a quick email, bhenry@iroquoisms.com. I will get back to you same day, if at all possible, to let you know yes or no, we can. I will say, out of the many, many emails that I receive on a weekly basis, 99% of the time we can. We absolutely can with our various banks. So we talked a little bit about what these groups are looking for to get these accounts across the goal line. Always a completed merchant agreement, executed, signed, done. That's going to be an obvious. Driver's license, voided check or bank letter. If we're in the e-commerce space, they're going to want to look at the website, make sure that the checkout page is secure. If they are in a vertical that requires age verification, CVD, for example, is that in place? So the URL, definitely, there are certain website requirements that need to be met, and we will go over those as well. Processing statements, this is going to depend on volume most of the time. So if you're, greater than 125,000 or in the high risk, 75,000, I would plan on 3 to 6 months of processing being provided. If there's any marketing material, brochures that they can share, this always helps. When we get into the really, really high volume, we are most likely going to want to see tax returns, a P&L, and balance sheet. Bank statements, again, the same concept as the tax returns and P&L. Financial stability is the bottom line. Is this company able to take on this financial burden should everything go worst case scenario? And then proof of inventory. Some merchants keep everything in their garage. Maybe they're just a small entity, and that's fine. Some have huge warehouses. Proof of inventory can literally be a couple of photos in the warehouse. That's perfectly fine. They just need to know that you have got the inventory, the merchant has the inventory in stock and ready to ship to their customer base. All of our applications typically have an e-sign or manual sign option. So regardless of working with a tech savvy merchant that wants to e-sign or one that wants to see the entire application and sign manually, we can work with any of that. There are addendums on certain verticals. So CBD, we're going to have a CBD addendum. Firearms, we're going to have a firearm addendum. There are many. It's case by case, deal by deal, and that kind of goes back to why we use the pre-vet process so that I can give you an idea of where we're going to go from here. More basic guidelines, and we have gone over these. Credit worthiness of the merchant. What exactly are they selling? Risk mitigation, site survey, match and OFAC check. All of this is standard. This applies in the low risk world. Website requirements. A lot of what we're doing currently in the high risk space is e-commerce. E-commerce has blown up. numerous contributing factors, COVID being number one. Many merchants have either closed down their retail shop and gone completely e-com, which is great, but their website needs to meet certain requirements. So if they don't have a web developer, they're small, we will help to the best of our ability and provide sample privacy policies, terms and conditions, anything we can do. We're going to have all of these requirements met on the website prior to approval. So we are happy to help where we can, but these are the requirements. And again, I'm kind of flying through here, but we will share these documents with anyone that would like to see them. So who's considered high risk? This is just a sampling that we have put together. This is not at all inclusive of all verticals that we can work within. Alcohol, card absent, that's a difficult one. They need to be able to have a solid age verification process there. We don't want a 15-year-old kid being able to order alcohol online. That's what the bank is looking to protect. Business coaching opportunity, collections, continuity programs, subscriptions, credit repair, credit counseling, document prep, firearms, MLM, Nutra, vape. Vape is one that I get presented to me quite often. You may or may not know work a lot in that vertical, excuse me. The laws surrounding vape are constantly changing and they vary from state to state. So vape, I will say, we can absolutely do it. I'm working on 3 of them right now. The requirements are it's going to take some time. It has to go through bank concurrence. So that's probably going to be the most time intensive vertical to board, but we can and do get them done. Whether it's tobacco based or not, vape is vape. And so it's the same process. But if you have a vape opportunity, do not assume, sorry, I can't do vape. We can, absolutely. Travel agencies and many more. Prohibited. I'm not even going to spend too much time on this because most of this is information you're very well aware of. The adult businesses, the foreign currencies, a lot of home-based massage or chiropractic services out of the home, merchants on match, marijuana-related businesses. Remember, marijuana-related businesses is very different from a CBD business. Payday lenders, escort services, they're the obvious ones. But again, just because something is listed here doesn't mean I can't find a bank to work with them. So never ever hesitate to shoot it to me in an email. Is this something we can work with? Let me put it out and let my banks look at it. And quite often there is a way that we can get it done. This is just another list of some of the high-risk verticals that we are working in. And why do they call it high risk? Kind of the basic question. High-risk merchants pose more financial risk, chargeback exposure, reputational risk. And that's why, I know I mentioned this before, but it does require enhanced due diligence. This means that there will be more supporting documents needed in comparison to a low-risk deal. And there quite possibly may be bank concurrence needed, which adds a few business days to the approval process. So again, don't take that as a negative because 99.9% of the time we can get it done. And there's really no reason to go through the details of this. I think the biggest one that I want to share, because I don't want to take more than 30 minutes, is CBD. CBD has become the most popular vertical that I'm working with personally. I am working a little bit with everything from travel, credit repair, you name it. But at the top of the high risk submissions that I am working in today's day and age is CBD. So just a quick glance at what we are looking for to board CBD. We're going to need a basic application. We need all the owners with 25% or more ownership, just like low risk. Fulfillment info. Are they using a third party? Are they creating it themselves? COAs, certificate of analysis on all products sold. I need to be able to show the bank that all products being sold have 0.03% or less THC. Voided check or bank letter. All of this is your basic stuff. So ultimate beneficial ownership addendum. This is basically just a list of each owner with 25% or more. And again, based on the volume, they may want to see financials. They may want to see tax returns. They're going to want to see some bank and processing statements. Again, if it is a startup, that is okay. We can work around that. If it is not, and they are existing, we need to see some bank and processing statements that have already been on file. Bank approval conditions. This particular document says that retail card present in the CBD world requires point of sale reporting. This does not necessarily always apply. I do have some banks that will allow retail card present using a terminal. We can get that done. There will be a site inspection within 30 days. So if they have prohibited products in their store, they need to understand that there will be a site inspection. Prohibited products. And I know this one can be tough because the Delta 8s, Delta 9s, Kratom, Shatter, Dabs, all things I hear on a regular basis, they are growing and growing in popularity, which I fully understand. However, Delta 8 is still prohibited with all of my banks at this time. Until a decision is made at a federal level, processors that are accepting Delta 8 or Delta 9, I would put money that they are using an offshore bank because of those federal guidelines. So I'm not going to dig too deep into that. Again, if in doubt, you're not sure, shoot me an email. Food and beverage, not a problem, just depending on what they have. If they only do different gummies, then I've got banks that are fine with gummies. I have other banks that are fine with gummies, chocolate, lollipops. They don't care what the food is. So again, it's a matter of the specific merchant, their needs, what they're selling, and the best fit for them as far as a bank, which again goes back to why we have established so many different relationships with different banks who have an appetite for different merchants doing different things. There are a lot of moving parts in the world of high risk, as I'm sure you all know. So the COAs, everyone is probably familiar with these. The reason they want to see these is to be able to say that a COA has been provided from an accredited lab to show that the THC levels do meet industry requirements, which is under 0.3% THC. The requirements on the COAs, lot number, batch number, this is all information that should be on a basic COA. So don't stress about having to go over every detail of the COA with the merchant. They should be able to provide the COA and it's going to have all of this on there. Websites. So celebrity network endorsements. Perfectly fine as long as they have an agreement with that celebrity. We have had a few of these that they're allowed to use their name and their photos and so on and so forth on their website. No hurry while it lasts, false timers, etc. Disclaimers. FDA and age disclaimers are big ones. That has to be on every website every time. There is no movement on that, regardless of bank or merchant. We have to have the FDA and age disclaimers. Other website requirements include terms and conditions, privacy policy, return policy, refund policy. What the bank wants to see through all of this is that your merchant is making it very clear to their consumer what their obligations are upon purchase of their product and what their options are should they not be satisfied with the product. Can I return it? Can I get a refund? If so, what is the process to do so? The more clear the merchant makes that to the consumer, the better, the happier the bank will be. Contact us page. At the bottom of the website, and this is the same in the low risk world, it needs to have their address and state that they are inside the United States, which reminds me, side note, we can work with international merchants. If you have one based outside of the United States, please do not assume that we cannot work with them. Shoot it to me. Let me talk to the banks that are working on an international level. Product page, they want the merchants to show their consumer the COAs. So if I'm on a website and I see a CBD gummy that I'm interested in because it's going to help me sleep, for example, I should be able to click on that product. I should be able to see the ingredients that make up that product. And I should also be able to look at the certificate of analysis as the consumer. Checkout page, basic requirements. Is it secure? Terms and conditions are present. Basics. These are still the basics that would be in place even in the low risk world. What we cannot do on a website, we cannot redirect to another URL. For example, we approve an account based on the CBD products being sold, and they link a URL on their site that takes them over to another website that is selling products that are prohibited. I have had merchants go through underwriting thinking they will just add that after the fact. Not a good idea. The banks and everyone are using web crawlers and other programs to go out and find those things. So even if we go through underwriting and then 30 days later, the merchant puts up their Delta 8 products, they told underwriting they didn't have them. Underwriting approved it based on that. They're going to find out. So we do not encourage that. It is not a good idea. They do not want to get a black eye in the processing world. So whatever we present to underwriting needs to remain the same. If they introduce a new product, simply let us know. We provide the COA, the bank knows about it, underwriting knows about it, everyone's on the same page. Fake testimonials, that's the other big one that we tend to, I don't want to say struggle with, but the banks can be a little bit nitpicky about this. You know, everyone wants to put, which I understand from a merchant perspective, they want to put a comment on the website that says, this product helped me so much with sleeping at night, joint pain, migraines, anything that that person may be suffering with. And it may be 110% true. It's not that that everyone is assuming it's fake or false. It's that when another consumer comes to the site, because of FDA regulations, they can't have that testimonial up saying this product will help you sleep. This product will help you with your joint and muscle pain. Because the FDA cannot cover that statement. So they're not going to let you keep testimonials. They have to be very vague. The words may help are the best way to go, because they're going to scrub those and they're going to look at those. So, and again, not going to take a deep dive into all the specifics, but this is a high level look at what we're looking at in the CBD world and other high risk verticals. So I know we kept all lines muted. If anyone has any questions or wants to talk about a specific topic, vertical, merchant, you name it, please do not hesitate to contact me. And I'm going to just throw this back up real quick, just so that everyone has it. My contact information is right here, bhenry@iroquoisms.com. I can be reached at 615-250-1892. If in doubt, never hesitate to shoot it over to me and let me farm it out to my different banks, because 99.9% of the time we can work with it and we would love to do so. We appreciate any opportunity, anytime. We appreciate everyone that we work with. I appreciate everyone hopping on today. and taking your time to talk about high risk or listen to me talk about high risk, for lack of better words. And we look forward to any opportunities that come across your plate that you bring to us. We appreciate it, and we are happy to guide you through the process if you have not done it before. So everyone have a great day. If there are any questions, please do not hesitate to follow up, and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you.